Let's take a look at this cash discount plan. It's exercise 13-5. Klein's Tools is considering offering a cash discount to speed up the collection of accounts receivable. Currently, the firm has an average collection period of 65 days. Its annual sales are 35,000 units. The per unit price is $40, and the per unit variable cost is $29. A 2% cash discount is being considered. Klein's Tools estimates that 80% of its customers will take the 2% discount. And if sales are expected to rise to 37,000 and the firm has a 15% required rate of return, then we're asked what minimum average collection period is required to approve the cash discount plan. Okay, now you see on the screen the rule that we need to use. The minimum average collection period after the discount is introduced can be determined when the net profit from the initiation of the plan is 0. Now the first step we need to do is calculate the profit contribution from additional sales. So we take the 2,000 incremental units of sales we're expecting, and we take the difference times the $40, which was the per unit price, less the $29, which is the per unit cost. And what we see is we've got a $22,000 additional profit contribution. Okay, then the next step, step 2, is to find the current turnover of accounts receivable. And that's the average investment presently without the discount. So we know there's 365 days in the year, and if we divide that by the average collection period, we'll come up with the accounts receivable turnover. And the average collection period was 65 days, which they gave us right here in the problem. Okay, now I've moved some of the steps around a little bit so that we can concentrate on step 3 while we still have the answers that we needed in steps 1 and 2. Step 3 says determine the average investment presently in accounts receivable. So we know the per unit variable cost is $29. The current level of sales, given here in the problem, is 35,000. And if we divide that by the accounts receivable turnover that we just calculated, which was 5.6, we calculated it right here in step 2, we're able to determine that the average investment currently in accounts receivable is $181,250. Okay. Now I've eliminated the rule in steps 1 and 2 so we can focus on step 4. In step 3 we determined that the average investment currently in accounts receivable was $181,250, and we need that piece of information to solve step 4. In solving step 4, what we'll do is let the variable x equal the average investment in accounts receivable after the discount is introduced. And then we can use the equation that's given to balance the costs and benefits of introducing the discount policy. And remember, we're trying to determine the minimum average collection period after the discount is introduced, and we'll determine that when the net profit from the initiation of the plan is equal to 0. So we'll say 0, which is the additional profit, let me read the formula here. 0 will be equal to the additional profit plus the cost savings from reducing the investment in accounts receivable less the cost of the cash discount, right? We're going to offer a higher discount in exchange, or we want to find what that minimum average collection period would need to be for this to work. Okay, so 0 would equal 22,000, the additional profit we calculated earlier. One thing I see here is I need a plus sign right here, so give me a minute and I will change that. Okay, now I've added that plus sign. So again, the formula is the additional profit, 22,000, plus the cost of capital, the 15%, what was given in the problem is the rate of return, times the 181,250, which was the average investment presently in AR, minus whatever the average investment in accounts receivable would be after we implement the new policy, minus the 2% discount, times 80%, which was the percentage of receivables we expected the percentage of sales we're going to make on credit, times 37,000, the new level of sales, times the sales value. And if we put that formula together, we can solve for X. Okay, so now we take a look and we see in step 5 that by rearranging the terms, we can work our way through the math and come up with the average investment accounts receivable after the discount is improved has to drop from $181,250 to $170,050. Okay, now I'll put the problem back up on top and we'll work step 6, which is the final step. We then need to solve for the new average collection period, so we'll let T equal the turnover of accounts receivable after the discount is introduced. The $170,050, which was the average investment in AR, is equal to the $29 times the 37,000 units. So that's the profit times the new units divided by T, which would be the turnover of accounts receivable. When we solve that equation, we come up with T equals 6.31 turns per year. So turnover is 6.31. And the average collection period then we can calculate by taking 365 divided by the new turnover to come up with 57.84 days. So to answer this question, the final answer becomes the cash discount program will be acceptable to Klein's Tools if the average collection period is reduced to at least 57.84 days from the current 65 days. So it basically means we've got to see the collection period drop from 65 days to about 58 days.